Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Family Connect Network. Let's talk about something very important about our families. Let's talk about transcultural dilemma in parenting. Remember, we are on our series, How to Bridge the Gap in Family Communication. So when I talk about transcultural dilemma in parenting, what do I mean? What I mean is families that move between cultures, family that has moved from one culture to the other. That is transcultural. And then we want to see the dilemma that this poses in parenting and in communication. I'm going to share with you very important stories that two families have shared with me. And I think it's good that you hear about this because this is life story. Now, the first one is a story of a family that they moved from their country of birth. They traveled to United Kingdom and they have a young family, well brought up children. And according to the culture that they were born, these kids were raised up not to look at elders when they're talking to them. So in the culture, it is generally acceptable for children who are seen as respectable children. When an elderly person or a senior talks to you, you can't look into their eyes, you have to look down. It was a sign of respect. And these children were used to it. I mean, they were wonderful children. Now the parents have moved with them to United Kingdom. And in the United Kingdom, it is also seen and believed, as part of the culture that when someone is talking to you and you look down, it is seen as rudeness. You're rude, or is lack of interest, is very insulting. But unfortunately for this family, they did not, I don't think they thought about it. They did not sit down to re-educate the children that, look, we're in a different culture. So everything changes. I mean, in terms of what we've told you about talking with people. So the children had an interview in the school. Of course, they had to start school. When they went for the first interview, unfortunately, the kids did not understand the differences. So while the headmaster is trying to communicate with them, asking them questions, they're all looking down all the time. They're answering the question, they're looking down. And then the head teacher said, you have to interact with me, you have to look at me. And it's like, no, this is not what I was taught. I believe that's what the children were thinking. And the interview ended, and of course they failed. Not only did they fail, the headmaster sent a concerning report to the parent to say, I have not in all my life seen rude set of children. Up through the time I spoke with them, they were looking down instead of looking at me. I mean, they were not just interested, so the school cannot take them. And then the children missed that school opportunity that was close to their house, and they failed. So it hit the parent in some way, and they knew that, wow, something has really changed. So this is what we're talking about, transcultural communication. Parenting is different. You have to sit down with your family and reassess how you're communicating with your children so that you don't throw them into confusion, so that people won't tag them wrongly, people won't see them as being rude, outside there. That's number one. Second story is a story that a dear lady spoke with me, and she said, I need you to hear this. I was raised up in a home that shouting was normal. My mom, in every communication, in every instruction, she had to shout. And we were all used to it. In fact, we didn't think there was anything wrong in talking to people that way. So it was normalized. But then they also moved to a western part of the world. And now she's married with her family. She said, I made up my mind to say I will not shout instruction to my children. Even when I need to correct them, I will correct them on my normal voice tone. That was good. She had an insight. But then she said, you know, in some unguided hours, I just see myself shouting information, and I didn't really mean it, but most times it just come out. I did not realize that I had internalized what, I saw my mom do. That shouting had gotten into me, and I didn't know that. So there was one day that it touched me, continued this lovely lady. She said, my young boy, I spoke to him and he went to bring me but before he could, I had already let out. I was shouting. And he turned back and said, Mom, you do not need to shout. I am already here with what you sent me. And she remembered, you do not need to shout. Oh. And that got her thinking, like, no, I need to do something about this. Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. Now, she has insight. She has realized that she need to make more adjustment. How about families that don't even realize? How about families that are still in that shouting mode? And I want to ask a question. Is there any culture that shouting is acceptable? Is there any culture that has normalized shouting? I wonder. When we shout at our children all the time, we are raising shouters. And it's unfortunate that, when the children move in maybe to school or to work progressively, shouting children will become shouting teens, will become shouting young adults, will become shouting adults, and will become shouting moms and dads. And it continues. So we've got to do something. This is so important. I am addressing here also parents from the diaspora, because we are the people always moving from one culture to the other. So it's important we look at this. I'm just trying to bring this so that we understand the impact that we are having on the young generation, what we are making out in the lives of our children. So it is important we talk about this thing. Please think about them, reassess them, bring your children into consideration, and let the gaps in this communication be bridged. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Bye-bye.